Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes the most ordinary moments carry the weight of the extraordinary. A simple dinner, the clinking of plates, the aroma of home-cooked food, the comfort of routine, can become the stage for truth to walk in uninvited. That night I thought it was just dinner, but one message, one strange text from my wife changed everything. "Help me," she wrote. 2 words that shattered the illusion of normal. 2 words that pulled the curtain off a life I thought I knew. Now I want you to pause for a moment and think about that. How many of us sit across the table from people we love, smiling, laughing, passing the salt, while secrets simmer beneath the surface? How many of us pretend not to see the cracks, because facing them might mean rebuilding everything from the ground up? That night, as I read that message, something inside me shifted. I realized that truth doesn't wait for the perfect moment to reveal itself. It breaks through when silence becomes too heavy to carry. And when that happens, we have a choice. We can either run from it or rise above it. Ladies and gentlemen, I chose to rise. Because darkness thrives in secrecy, but it dies in the light of honesty. And when that truth surfaced, painful as it was, it gave me power. The power to see clearly, the power to rebuild not on lies but on lessons, the power to stand in the wreckage and still say, "I will not let this define me." That dinner, that text, that night, it wasn't the end of something. It was the beginning of awakening. A reminder that love without truth is only illusion, and that sometimes the people who break us are the very reason we learn how to heal ourselves. So to everyone listening, if you've ever felt betrayed, if you've ever had your world crumble over something small, something unexpected, remember this. You are not what happened to you. You are what you choose to become after it. And that is where your real story begins. Sometimes in life, it's not the grand events that change everything, but the quiet, ordinary moments we never see coming. We often think of truth as something that arrives with a warning, a loud confrontation, a dramatic revelation, a breaking point we can prepare for. But the truth doesn't always knock. It often whispers in the middle of calm, everyday life, like during a simple dinner, when everything appears perfectly normal. That's the irony of reality. The most extraordinary truths are often hidden inside the moments we least suspect. Imagine sitting across the table from someone you love, surrounded by the comfort of routine. The conversation flows, laughter fills the air, and for a moment, life feels predictable. Then, something small, a glance, a pause, a message, shifts the atmosphere. Suddenly, the ordinary no longer feels safe. You sense something deeper, something unspoken stirring beneath the surface. That's the moment when the familiar turns fragile, when normality cracks open just enough for the truth to slip through. Life has a way of disguising what we're not ready to face. We bury secrets beneath schedules, smiles, and small talk. We convince ourselves that if everything looks fine on the outside, then it must be fine on the inside too. But the truth doesn't stay buried forever. It waits patiently in the corners of our lives, revealing itself in the simplest of ways, through a misplaced word, an unread message, a nervous silence. The dinner table becomes more than a place for food. It becomes a stage where reality finally dares to show itself. What makes these ordinary moments so powerful is that they catch us off guard. We are unguarded, open, unaware. We expect peace, but we find awakening. It's in those moments that life reminds us how fragile the illusion of control really is. A simple dinner can remind us that behind every smile, there may be a story untold. Behind every calm moment, a storm may be quietly forming. When ordinary moments reveal extraordinary truths, they change how we see everything. The world doesn't look the same after that. We start noticing the subtle details we once ignored, the pauses, the silences, the things left unsaid. And we realize that truth, no matter how painful, is never truly hidden. It's always there, waiting for a quiet moment to be seen. Truth doesn't wait for the perfect moment to reveal itself. It comes when it must, often without warning, often when we are least prepared. Many people believe that truth is something we can control, that we can decide when to face it, when to speak it, or when to hide from it. But truth has a way of choosing its own time. It seeps through cracks in our comfort, breaking into our lives in the quietest or most unexpected ways. Sometimes it arrives as a feeling we can't shake, a message we can't ignore, or a look that says more than words ever could. We often try to silence truth because we fear what it might destroy. We tell ourselves that ignoring it will protect us, that pretending everything is fine will preserve the peace. But silence is heavy, and the longer we carry it, the more it demands to be released. Truth grows restless when buried. It sits beneath every conversation, behind every forced smile, waiting for the moment when we can no longer hold it back. That's when it breaks through, not to hurt us, but to free us. The most unsettling part is that truth rarely arrives when life feels chaotic. It comes when things seem stable, when we feel secure. That's why it shocks us, because it shatters the illusion of certainty. But that's also its gift. When truth finally surfaces, it strips away what's false, leaving us with what's real. It might be painful, yes, but it's also powerful. It teaches us that honesty is not about timing, it's about courage. When we stop waiting for the right moment to face the truth, we begin to live with authenticity. We stop performing for the world and start living for ourselves. The truth can be uncomfortable, but it is never wrong. It forces growth, even when it feels like destruction. It makes us confront what's been hidden in the shadows of denial and fear. And when it arrives, whether in a strange text, a quiet confession, or a broken silence, it reminds us that no secret can stay buried forever. Truth does not ask for permission to enter our lives. It simply waits for the silence to become too heavy, for the heart to become too tired of pretending, and then it rises, raw, unstoppable, and liberating. When life confronts us with painful truths, we stand at a crossroads. In that fragile moment when everything we believed begins to unravel, we are given a choice to run from the pain or to rise above it. Most people's first instinct is to escape, to turn away, to pretend the truth doesn't exist. Running feels safer than facing the storm. But no matter how far we go, truth has a way of following us, whispering in our quiet moments, reminding us of what still needs to be faced. It's only when we stop running that healing truly begins. Rising above doesn't mean pretending the pain isn't real. It means acknowledging it, understanding it, and then using it as fuel to grow stronger. Every betrayal, every heartbreak, every difficult truth carries within it a lesson, if we're brave enough to look for it. When we choose to rise, we shift from being a victim of circumstance to a student of experience. We stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and start asking, "What is this trying to teach me?" That shift in mindset transforms pain into power. There is something deeply human about our ability to rebuild after being broken. Rising above is not about forgetting what happened. It's about refusing to let it define who we are. It takes courage to face the truth head-on, to feel every emotion it brings, and to still choose to move forward. That choice, to rise, is what separates those who stay trapped in their past from those who build something stronger from its ashes. When you rise above, you take back your power. The people or circumstances that once controlled your peace no longer have that hold over you. You become the author of your own story again. And in doing so, you discover that strength isn't found in avoiding pain. It's found in walking through it with open eyes and an open heart. Life will always present moments that test who we are. The truth will come, sometimes softly, sometimes harshly. And when it does, we decide whether to let it break us or build us. Rising above means choosing light over darkness, courage over fear, and growth over comfort. It is not an easy choice, but it is the one that leads us to become more than what happened to us. It leads us to become who we were always meant to be. Honesty has always been the foundation of freedom, yet it's often the hardest thing for people to live by. We build walls of half-truths around our lives, thinking they will protect us from pain, judgment, or loss. But in reality, those walls become prisons. Darkness thrives in secrecy, feeding on the things we choose to hide, our fears, our mistakes, our betrayals. When we finally find the courage to speak the truth, those walls begin to crumble, and for the first time we can breathe. Honesty doesn't just set us free, it gives us back our peace. There is an undeniable weight that comes with keeping secrets. The mind grows restless, the heart uneasy, and no matter how carefully we try to live, the truth always finds a way to rise to the surface. It might come out through our actions, our expressions, or even in moments of silence. That's because honesty isn't just about words, and it's about alignment. When what we say, think, and feel are no longer in conflict, we live lighter, freer, and more authentically. The power of honesty lies in its ability to dissolve fear. We fear what others might think, how they might react, or what we might lose by telling the truth. But the moment we stop hiding, we realize that the only thing we ever truly lost was ourselves in the act of pretending. Living honestly doesn't mean life becomes perfect. It means it becomes real. And in that reality, we can finally begin to heal, rebuild, and move forward without the burden of deception weighing us down. When you bring light into a dark room, the shadows don't argue. They disappear. The same happens when we bring truth into our lives. It may be uncomfortable at first, exposing what we tried so hard to cover up. But the relief that follows is worth the discomfort. Honesty gives us clarity. It allows us to see people and situations for what they truly are, not what we wish they were. It restores integrity, strengthens relationships, and most importantly, reconnects us with our own sense of self. Freedom doesn't come from control or perfection. It comes from truth. When we choose honesty, we are choosing to live without masks, to stop performing for others, and to start showing up as our real selves. It's through that vulnerability that we discover the kind of peace no secret can ever provide. Pain, though it feels like destruction, often carries the seed of transformation. In the moment it strikes, all we can feel is the sting, the betrayal, the loss, the collapse of everything we thought was certain. It shakes our foundation, makes us question our worth, our choices, even our purpose. But hidden within that pain is a silent invitation to rebuild, to rediscover, and to rise stronger than before. It is through pain that we learn who we truly are and what we are capable of enduring. Empowerment rarely comes wrapped in comfort. It is born out of moments that break us open. When life wounds us deeply, it also exposes parts of ourselves we never knew existed. Resilience, courage, clarity. Pain strips away illusions and forces us to confront what is real. It teaches us the difference between strength that pretends and strength that endures. It's not about denying the hurt, but allowing it to shape us into something wiser, calmer, and more self-aware. Every scar tells a story, not of weakness, but of survival. We often believe healing means forgetting, but true healing is remembering without breaking. It's the process of turning pain into purpose. The very thing that once made us cry becomes the reason we grow. The heartbreak that left us shattered becomes the reason we learn to set boundaries, to value honesty, and to seek peace rather than validation. Pain is a harsh teacher, but it never lies. It reveals what we need to let go of and what truly matters. Empowerment begins when we stop seeing ourselves as victims of our experiences and start recognizing the power within us to shape what comes next. The people or moments that hurt us may have taken a part of our past, but they cannot control our future unless we let them. Taking back our power doesn't mean denying the pain. It means owning it, learning from it, and transforming it into strength. In the end, pain doesn't define us, and how we respond to it does. Every difficult experience can become a source of wisdom if we allow it to teach us. The same fire that burns can also forge. When we stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and start asking, "What is this teaching me?" we turn our suffering into strength. Pain, when faced with courage, becomes the birthplace of empowerment. You are not what happened to you. You are what you choose to become after it. Life will always test you with heartbreak, betrayal, loss, and disappointment. But those moments, as painful as they are, do not define your story. What defines you is what you do next. The strength you summon, the hope you rebuild, the lessons you carry forward. Every ending carries within it the chance for rebirth. When the world breaks you down, you have the power to rise and write a new chapter, one that belongs entirely to you. There comes a moment after every fall when silence settles in, the quiet after the chaos. And in that stillness, you realize you are still here. That realization is power. It means that despite everything, you survived. You may have been betrayed, you may have lost trust, you may have questioned your worth, but you endured. And endurance is the foundation of transformation. From that point forward, your healing becomes your revolution. Becoming stronger doesn't mean becoming harder. It means becoming wiser. It means understanding that pain was not sent to destroy you, but to awaken something deeper within you. Self-respect, clarity, courage. You begin to see that your past does not have the authority to dictate your future. The mistakes, the heartbreaks, the disappointments, they were chapters, not your entire book. When you choose growth over bitterness, forgiveness over vengeance, peace over chaos, you reclaim authorship of your life. People may have tried to break you, but they cannot define you. What defines you is your decision to stand again. Strength is not loud. Sometimes it's quiet. The steady breath you take when no one's watching. The decision to keep moving forward when no one's cheering. Every small act of resilience rewrites your story. And one day you look back and realize the pain that once felt unbearable became the very force that shaped your purpose. You are not your heartbreak. You are not your betrayal. You are not your past mistakes. You are the person who chose to heal, who chose to grow, who chose to keep believing in love, life, and light, even after walking through the darkness. That choice, that transformation is where your true identity begins. You said,